For winter storage of flannel trousers, I can recommend Pigley's Patent Preservative. It's sold in penny packets. So little is needed that one packet may last a man a lifetime. The smallest pinch not only keeps the moths away, but destroys any moths living. Eliza's quite fond of it, but says that it would suffocate an elephant. The smell does undoubtedly cling, but after a week, 10 days, it's hardly noticeable. It's a case where tact helps, as it does in so many things in life. Once, Miss Sakers, the vicar's daughter, surprised us. She called when the suit I was wearing carried a considerable remainder of the Pigley's Patent Preservative. Now, I simply turned to Eliza and said, carelessly, "My dear, I'm afraid the plumber hasn't made quite a success of that gas leak." Of course, Eliza had to mess the whole thing up by saying we hadn't got a gas leak. "Eliza," I said, "I have a nose, and it is not merely ornamental." Eliza said she didn't know what I was talking about. Had it not been for Eliza, the whole thing would have passed off very nicely. My flannel trousers were made by a fair-priced tailor 2 years ago. They have been worn only on annual holidays and on the occasional fine Saturday afternoon. With the arrival of the summer season, I unpacked them and put them on. And a very sharp disappointment I got. I took it up with Eliza straight away. "Eliza," I said, "my express orders have been disregarded. My trousers have been washed and, as a result, shrunk. It is impossible for me to make them meet at the waist without extreme discomfort." As 12 and 6, thrown on the dust heap, sacrificed to your obstinacy, why were they not dry cleaned at home by our own simple method, as I directed? They were, she said. "But can chemical powder cause the material to shrink?" I asked. Eliza said that a man getting fatter might cause his clothes to be too tight for him. I admit it had occurred to me, but I'd shut my eyes to it. I was seriously disturbed. Eliza said the only thing for it was more exercise. So I mowed the lawn twice and rolled the paths. But then, you see, at dinner, I had an appetite it was impossible to fight against. The thing is, I believe, called a vicious circle. I intend to deal with it scientifically. At lunchtime today, I took a decisive step. I paid no less than 5 shillings for a copy of Mossop's Tyrolese exercises with chart. The price is a bit stiff, but there are numerous illustrations of Mr. and Mrs. Mossop engaged in the Tyrolese exercises. I should be very sorry to see Eliza photographed in the sort of costumes Mrs. Mossop wears. There is much omitted that should be present. Perhaps I am rather particular. Mr. Mossop's system is both admirable and simple. He noticed that in nations where much climbing was done, obesity was rare. Mossop devised these exercises, calling into play exactly the same muscles that would be required in, say, the ascent of the Matterhorn. "15 minutes per diem practically guarantees prevention of any undesirable frontal extension and ultimately produces a harmonious development of the entire frame." And the book itself is a valuable and interesting addition to our library. Eliza.
Oh, wouldn't leave this lying around if I were you.
Eliza, it is well known that constrictive clothing is to be avoided when undertaking gymnastic exercises.
And why has this man got 12 arms?
That's to show you how to do it. Look, I'll demonstrate. Now, you begin like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, well, let that be a lesson to Parker to use her brains when dusting. I mean, if you place objects at the very edge of the mantelpiece, they're virtually asking to be knocked off. Thoroughness in all things has always been a motto of mine. I can now, after a fortnight, do these exercises without the assistance of the illustrations. And I've suggested to your mother that if she invites some friends round, I could provide a demonstration that may be interesting to them. Yes, as you can see, my trousers are now, if anything, too large. So I can do the Tyrolean exercises in them without any risk to their well-being. Your mother, of course, will not expect it. She is prejudiced against Mr. Mossop. She will see that I am right and she is wrong. And this is what comes from dealing with these things scientifically.
Oh, so you haven't noticed the piece I let in the back? I thought I made a good job of it.
What? Well, you ought to have told me. I don't like things being done behind my back.
Just when it was needed, Ernest.
I have by no means lost faith in the Tyrolean exercises. I mean to go on with them. In future, I shall use a tape measure. Nobody will let a piece into the back of that.
And the next adventure for our Edwardian clerk is tomorrow at 6:20.